Well, we're back in Baron. There's certainly been a good amount of back and forth from the starting town and its connected castle in this game, that's for sure. Though I wasn't really expecting the castle gates to be shut like that. I mean, sure, it's understandable to some degree. The world has become a more dangerous place since the game started, even if the encounters around Baron itself haven't changed. Still, I would have thought one of the guards inside the place would have opened it up once they realized we were the ones trying to get in. Nope. We have to pull the mechanisms to open the doors ourselves, and, I don't think we've ever had to pull those switches on the walls on any of the other times we've been to this castle. That probably threw me off more than it should. Well, we're here, and I feel like we need to deal with more than just the strictly plot-relevant stuff with the engineers. There's a bit of a side quest here in the castle, and I don't remember if this is the time it unlocks or if it fits a little later in the game. Why the hell did I move upwards? The thing we need to deal with is in the basement. Yeah, looks like that inexplicable barrier is gone. Should I bother asking why there's a second throne in this castle put in an out-of-the-way place? Did the elemental monster that was faking being the king have some new cushions commissioned or something, and they just threw the old throne into storage? While I'm at it, why the hell do we need to do another side quest in order to qualify for this one? Hell, why allow us in there if there's still something we need to do in the underground before we're actually allowed to do what we need to do with the king in there? It feels a little annoying, could have been done better. Well, at least it's not something we absolutely strictly need to do in order to make progress in the plot. What we absolutely need to do is talk to one of the engineers. Something I nearly forgot to do because I got distracted by the side quest involving the king and then got annoyed. I'm sure whatever they're doing is going to be pretty critical to what we need to do next. Not that the game itself has told us why we suddenly need a grappling hook on our airship. Kind of feels like that came out of nowhere. Was I just not paying enough attention? I suppose that's good to hear. I don't really remember off the top of my head where we parked the hovercraft, though. It's certainly been quite a while since we've used it, after all. Right. Babysit the man who dropped out of our airship while cuddling a bomb just before it went off. Not that we actually saw him cuddling it. That's not going to be all that feasible to do. Anyway, excuse me for looking at an out-of-game guide to figure out where the hell we might have left the hovercraft and how to get to it from where we are now. Definitely something I'm less likely to do with any future games in the series I decide to Let's Play. Mostly because the Pixel remasters give you in-game maps, and the games after 6 give you a world map, and for the most part, areas are pretty easy to figure out the layout of. Dungeons can still be mazes, sure, but those mazes are less of a pain in the ass to figure out how to navigate since those locations are generally pretty distinctive looking, so you can give yourself landmarks to keep track of. Anyway, we've just gained the hovercraft again, which means we can go over those weird collections of rocks in the water. Part of me wants to find it strange that we aren't just allowed to go anywhere we want the moment we gain the airship in the first place. Especially in a game where there are multiple worlds/maps. but I suppose making it rather inconvenient to get to a location is a good way to keep things relatively linear in a game. And the more linear things are, the easier it is to plan out what fights the player will go through and how the story beats will continue. Still, there's always a bit of an unrealistic expectation from players that a video game will allow us to do anything and go anywhere we want. It's been one of the unspoken rules of video games since before I was even born. I'm reasonably sure it's going to continue to be a thing long after I end up dying of old age. Maybe not an especially noteworthy stopping point, but it's as good a place as any to save. Now, let's go investigate the nearby castle before moving on. I certainly don't think we've been there before, but maybe I quickly zipped in and out earlier in the game. We're 25 clips into this game. The details are getting a little hazy for me by this point. Based on the random encounters outside of the castle, I'm not expecting too much when we get in there. But that might not be the best indicator for how things are gonna go when we get in there. The place looks like it's taken some damage, though it's impossible to tell if that's supposed to be battle damage or just very old age and neglect. It can be a bit tough to tell, considering the graphics. Just like it can be tough to tell if there's a hidden path and where that happens to be. I'd have thought that this far into the game I'd be able to tell just at a glance where those are, but no. They don't always bother to give you some kind of visual clue for that sort of thing. You just have to guess. And I seem to be guessing wrong quite frequently here, and then ramming against the same wall over and over. Was there anything about that wall that would hint it was less solid than the other bits of wall around it? And I'm damn sure that's going to continue to be an annoyance we're going to have to deal with for a lot of the Final Fantasy games made before the series went to 3D animation. Or at the very least, hidden paths from the PlayStation 1 era onwards didn't outright feel like the game was lying to you. Isn't it already bad enough that we have to wander around with no ability to access any kind of map at any time? Why make us question if the walls we're trying to find our way around are actually walls we can walk through? And just why is it that the castle of Eblan, where apparently a clan of ninjas used to be, has the same architecture and tileset as all the other castles in the game? Now, while I wouldn't quite say if you've been to one castle you've been to them all in this game, they are all painfully similar in so many ways. Many of the rooms and hallways have the exact same layouts. You can just shift around what doors we're allowed to go through, and maybe shift the walls around a bit to do the bare minimum to make one castle different from the other. Again, I really hope there's something they do to address that in the 3D remake, but I somehow doubt that. It's not like the castles are all that important, even if we had several major story moments happen in 4 of them over the course of the game so far. Just not a fan of how many things are hidden in this game, and it's going to continue being an annoyance for a while. Kind of wish I had something else to talk about at the moment, but then it's not like this castle has any random encounters. It just exists for us to loot. And it's not like we're finding anything especially amazing from the boxes we've been opening or the pots we've scrounged in. It doesn't help that it never looks right when we walk around somewhere that has absolutely no floor at all. Oh, look at that! We ended up in a fight. Because for some reason, this annoying-to-reach box had some monsters inside of it. Monsters that opened up by putting Rydia to sleep. Which of course limits our options for how we're going to deal with so many enemies at once. It's not like we've got Yang to throw kick around anymore, and while maybe Rosa can take down some of these guys with healing magic, I prefer to just use her for defense and not offense. Sure, we can survive the hits they're throwing around, but we are getting hit for a good amount of damage and fighting 5 enemies at once here, all while one of our 4 teammates is completely unable to defend herself. Make that 2 members of the team that are sleeping it off here. Bloody hell. Probably don't need a multi-target spell this far into the fight. It's essentially done already. I'm assuming that Sleep Blade is what made that fight more annoying than it strictly needed to be. And look at that, the sword is a downgrade compared to what we already have. Was I supposed to come to this castle earlier in the story? Anyway, I believe that should be just about everything from the castle itself and the left tower. I think I'll double check just to be sure, though. It's not like we're in any actual area after all. The bad guys might have all the crystals they want from both the Under and Overworld, but they aren't allowed to do anything with them until the plot demands it. And the plot won't demand anything from them until we make more progress with the plot. Really undermines whatever sense of urgency you might feel around here, doesn't it? As if the fact that the game has pulled far too many poorly done dramatic moments wasn't bad enough. I swear, it's like the further into the game we go, the less straightforward the areas we go through are. Well, okay, that's kind of a thing in whole video games to one degree or another. Still, it just feels like they overdid the whole hidden paths and hidden switches thing in this game, and we've got a lot more game to go through before we're done with Final Fantasy IV. I would not be surprised if they made things even more obnoxious as we keep pushing forward. Anyway, time for another fight against a bunch of creatures just sitting inside of a box. A fight that managed to knock Cecile out in a single damn move. That is just such supreme bullshit. Though somehow not as annoying to deal with as some of the enemies that will constantly counterattack us. It's kind of funny the things that I will and will not tolerate. Part of me can't help hoping that when I get around to Final Fantasy V, we see some better animations for the summons. Sure, what we see in this game gets the job done, and you don't strictly need to do more with them. Still, it'd be nice for them to have something to help make it feel more impactful when we use them in battle, outside of damage numbers, hitting all the targets on screen, and a extremely quick animation. Maybe I was just spoiled by the later entries in the series. Entries that I haven't gotten around to recording yet, much less commenting on. Actually, it might be better for us to fall into the hole, though I suppose I should check for some more hidden paths downstairs first. There we are. I suppose this castle is littered with so many hidden paths because it has no random encounters. Honestly, I'd prefer dealing with random encounters over dealing with this crap. But maybe that's just me. Other people might feel like this castle serves as a good breather or something. Though I suppose every settlement would feel like a similar quality respite from the constant danger every step invites in these kinds of games. Okay, no way to go to the right from this hidden path, because even if we're on the hidden path, we can't actually see where we're going or what our barriers are. At least that part was made less of a pain in the ass in the Pixel Remaster. And of course, we have to reopen this wall. Again, it's funny how this sort of thing is more annoying than the combat we've had to deal with so far for me. But then that was part of why I gave up on commenting on the Prince of Persia series before I even finished the first game of it. I just do not have fun coming up with commentary when the main crux of it is navigation puzzles. It's still fun to play through though, and I still feel guilty for dropping it, but if you're not having fun with one part of the Let's Play to that degree, it's not worth going through, especially when it's a hobby and not income. Anyway, apparently someone managed to stuff a trio of ogres into the box, and all three of them are pissed. Understandable, I'm certain it was rather cramped in there. Okay, is it just me or does that nameless dragon that serves as the first boss fight of the game deal more damage than Shiva or Ifrit? I can't really tell. Also wish we got to see Rydia learn how to summon like her mother could. It just feels like such an easy way to have shown some character growth. But it, and the literal aging process, just had to happen completely off screen. Again, Rydia is bar none the best character in the game. It feels annoying that she was taken away from us, and downright criminal that she grew up and trained where we never got to see her, and there's never going to be a flashback to make up for that in any way, shape, or form. We just need to keep on pushing forward. And that does it for the ogres, which means we're done with what few enemies were in the abandoned castle. Seems like a reasonably good stopping point to me. Huh. Took less time to leave the castle than I thought. Nice that there's a shortcut out, but as usual, there's no way we can re-enter the place from that exit. We're only ever allowed to enter the place when we're coming in from a single direction. Probably should have gone to the castle just because resting there is literally free. But then I suppose the sheer amount of money we have at this point in the game, the Inn in Baron is so cheap it may as well be free.